Hey guys, so we're going to be looking at some more problem solving today. We're going to go back to this lily pads and frogs problem. In the last session we did question 1, and we found that the total number of flowers on the 87 lily pads that were in flower was 261 flowers. Alright, so we're going to look at question 2 now. So these problems are ones where they work in order, so sometimes you have to use information from the previous problems to answer the next one. But we'll look at question 2 now. So question 2. How many lily pads are not in flower? Now, for this problem, I want to show you a mistake that a lot of the kids made in class. So we'll start with the question. So first thing we do is we identify what are we looking for. And the answer is lily pads. I'm going to say LP, not in flower. All right, and straight away, I think that there could be an issue here with the idea of not in flower, perhaps a vocabulary issue where they may not understand what in flower means. Anyway, we'll move along. Information. Now, this is what I was getting a lot of. So, what is the relevant information here? So, the kids were going, well, I know that there are 87, oh wait, sorry, no. That was one. This was one, but I'll go to a different area. So we've got 279 lily pads, LP, and the other piece of relevant information they were saying was that we've got 261 flowers. Diagrams were something like this. 279 lily pads, 261 flowers, and then the maths was 279 take away 261, and finally the answer, which was what, 18. And they would say the answer was 18 lily pads not in flower. Alright, so the problem here, hopefully you guys can see, is that they're trying to take away flowers from lily pads. And you'd be surprised how often this happens. So for me, there's a fault in this line of reasoning of going, what is relevant to looking for lily pads not in flower? We've got two errors here, so 261 flowers. I think what they really needed to do here was be asking themselves this question is, can I take away flowers from lily pads? Does that make sense that I take away flowers from lily pads? Maybe there needed to be a diagram here that would have helped as well. So if we look at the pond and we think that there are 279 lily pads in total, and that some of those lily pads are without flowers, so not in flower, and some of those lily pads are with flowers, then it becomes obvious that the information we need is how many lily pads in total, which they've identified, and not how many flowers there are, but how many lily pads there are with flowers. So we need to get rid of this 261 flowers, and our other piece of relevant information was actually 87 lily pads with flowers. So then, it's not that they were, this is the right diagram actually. They've just gotten confused. So 87 lily pads with flowers, and then the math should be 279 take away 87, and the answer is, we can do it here, 279 take away 87, and take 7 is 2, 8 take 7, we can't do it, rename 100 is 10, 10, 17 take away 8 is 9, 192. So the answer was 192 lily pads not in flower. I hope you've gotten some insight into the type of errors that can be made in problem solving here. This is one that I see quite a lot, where there's a fault in the reasoning in identifying what is the relevant information, in the visualizing of the problem and understanding that you have to be able to take like things away from like, that you can't, if you're looking for how many tomatoes there are in a bag, that it doesn't matter whether someone takes out a certain number of bananas. It seems basic, but it's something that your kids are still trying to wrap their heads around. All right, thanks for listening.